Coming up on 21st Century. Exposed, attacked and ashamed.
I feel pain in my heart. I cannot go back because of what they did to me.
The brutal ordeal faced by Congo's women. Hello and welcome to 21st Century. I'm Daljit Dhaliwal. It is an impossible choice: feed your family or run the risk of a brutal sexual attack. It has happened to hundreds of thousands of women in the Democratic Republic of the Congo since civil war broke out 10 years ago. The assaults show no sign of abating, even though a simple solution could reduce the risk. Above, a brooding volcano. Below, the forest, traditionally a place of refuge and shelter. But in this forest, in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, day after day, women are forced to take a desperate gamble. All they need is firewood, a bundle of sticks, so that they can cook food for their families. But this search exposes them to unspeakable violence.
We have
to go to the forest for firewood so we can eat. We just don't have any choice.
Mawazu and women like her have lost everything because of war. They walk miles to the forest for wood, often travelling in groups of 4 or 5. If they're unlucky, they'll encounter men with guns. Forced to flee, they'll scatter in different directions. The weakest and the slowest will be caught.
5 of us were in the forest. When I tried to run, I fell, and men caught me and raped me.
A brutal attack could come at any moment. By marauding militia groups raping at gunpoint. The results are often horrific.
The attackers often use a blunt instrument. It could be a piece of wood or a knife.
Dr. Bienvenu Kuyunga is the admitting physician at the Heal Africa Hospital, where victims of attack come for treatment.
For example, there's the case I've just examined. She told me the attackers were looking for money. They thought she'd hidden some in her vagina. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they caused such severe injury to her, you couldn't make out the vagina from the anus.
Dr. Kuyunga's patients need corrective surgery, sometimes multiple operations to repair the damage. The women in this area of eastern Congo have fled war and now live in camps on the edge of Virunga National Park. In 10 years of conflict, as government forces battle with rebel groups, almost 1 million people have left their homes, some as many as 5 times, victims of war and its plagues of killing, looting, burning and rape. A year and a half ago, 35-year-old Janine ran from her village with her 2 children to escape the fighting. Her husband has been missing since. She thinks he's dead.
I have trouble getting food. All the time the children are hungry. They cry a lot.
Janine sought refuge in the Muganga 2 camp for internally displaced persons in North Kivu, but she didn't find safety.
The day after I got into the camp, we were very hungry, so I went to collect firewood with a few other women. We thought God would help us come back safely, but I was raped.
The result of that brutal encounter is her baby son. The name she gave him is Thanks.
Thanks. I called him that because I give thanks to God for everything that happens to me.
Janine and her 3 children sleep in a small hut that sits on lava rocks. Since the attack, she's been too traumatized to venture into the forest again.
When something bad has happened to you, there is nothing you can do about it.
There are more than 14,000 people living here in makeshift tents, struggling to survive. Across North Kivu in Congo, there are over 90 camps, and few of them are free of danger. 1 in 10 women here say that they have been raped.
It is just the top of the iceberg.
Ibrahim Akoli of the UN Refugee Agency.
From January up to end of February, there were more than 4,000 cases of gender-based violence.
In all, hundreds of thousands of women in Congo have been sexually assaulted. For the survivors, the psychological scars are as deep as the physical ones. Untamatonde's village was overrun by rebels.
It happened a lot. Rebels coming and raping women. If people had known they were coming, we would have run away. But that night, we didn't know.
The rebels raped 54-year-old Untamatonde as well as her daughter-in-law. Then they took her clothes and burnt down her house. She's left with an overwhelming feeling of shame.
I feel pain in my heart. I cannot go back because of what they did to me. 3 people raped me in front of my son.
Now she can't bring herself to return to her family.
My mother-in-law would rather kill herself than go back to the village.
Untamatonde and her daughter-in-law have agreed to take counseling, but such is the stigma of rape that few women step forward to speak about it.
First of all, individually, it's an humiliation. It's an humiliation to the person, and that person needs to inform his family about what's happened, which is another humiliation.
For the women who need to collect firewood, a simple, practical solution is to provide them with wood in the camps, thus eliminating their need to go out into the forest. An aid agency, Mercy Corps, is doing exactly this by giving out 5 kilos of wood per person. But there's only enough for just 1/10 of this camp's population. So for the most part, women are left to fend for themselves. Every day, the search for firewood goes on, and it will continue so long as women have no choice but to run the risk of attack. The forest, which has long been a source of food and shelter, has also become a source of terror.